Buckle up. Welcome to Hannity tonight. Mass rage, mass psychosis, totally consuming the modern Democratic Socialist Party. Of course, after President Trump was vindicated by Robert Mueller. And for the left, it's like an election night 2016 all over again. Because for 2.5 years, Democrats, along with their partners in the media mob, well, they were pumping up their base. They got giddy. They praised their hero, Robert Mueller, because they were finally going to get Donald Trump. It's like the exit polls showed that Donald Trump was going to lose. They were wrong. And the facts and reality got in the way because there never was collusion. No conspiracy, no obstruction from Trump and his campaign. Now Democrats are deflated, they're downtrodden, and they are hitting levels of delusion with reckless fantasies about impeachment and doing everything they could possibly do to harass, even use the IRS against a sitting president. Tonight we're exposing it piece by piece. And we're also going to be asking the most important unanswered questions. And by the way, there are hundreds of them. But we're just giving you the top ones. Like, when did Robert Mueller know there was no collusion, no coordination? Why weren't we told? Why did they hold that back? And if they knew there was no underlying crime all along, early on in the investigation, why not let the American people, we the people, know? To reveal to we the people that this was all based on a series of false narratives and phony allegations, like the STEELE dossier, which, why didn't he investigate this? Which literally was like a final nail drilled into the coffin by Robert Mueller. Byron York writes in the Washington Examiner today, quote, in the wake of the Mueller report, the question is not whether the dossier's charges were accurate, but why were they so wrong? Even our friend Bob Woodward, a little late to the party, is acknowledging the problems with Clinton's bought and paid for Russian lies used in the election. I guess better late than never, though. Take a look.
Early in building the intelligence community assessment on Russian interference, in an early draft, they actually put the dossier on page 2 in kind of a breakout box. I think it was the CIA pushing this. Real intelligence experts looked at this and said, no, this is not intelligence, this is garbage, and they took it out. But in this process, the idea that they would include something like that in one of the great stellar intelligence assessments, as Mueller also found out, is highly questionable. Needs to be investigated.
Highly questionable. Bob, again, we had an ensemble team for over 2 years. We've been unpeeling the layers after layer after layer of the biggest abuse of power corruption scandal in our history. And this ensemble cast on radio and TV, on my show, we've been right all along. And now even the New York Times, even they are finally coming to terms with some dose of reality, revealing in a new piece that the dossier is now under renewed scrutiny. Baby steps for them. And get this, the media may have been more wrong than we thought. And according to the Times, Steele's dossier may have all been part of a Russian disinformation campaign to begin with. Hillary's campaign. She paid for it. And not to help Donald Trump, but to set up, quote, landmines and sow chaos and discord among the American electorate. Now, the Hill's John Solomon will join us in a few moments to explain a lot more to you. But ask yourself, when will the fake news media mob, when will they finally apologize for their lies and conspiracy theories? When will they take accountability? When will they take account for fueling collusion, hysteria, breathless reporting day after day, night after night? For the media, facts were only an afterthought. Any anonymous source? Yes, they believed. Like BuzzFeed's bombshell about the president directing Michael Cohen to lie, which Mueller's report exposed as totally false, or NPR being embarrassed after it lied about John Jr.'s Senate testimony, or McClatchy blatantly wrong about Michael Cohen's trip to Prague. It never happened. Or The Guardian reporting a fake conspiracy about Mueller and Julian Assange. 3 CNN employees forced to resign after reporting an untrue Russia-related story about our friend, the Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci. Or Brian Ross leaving ABC after a fake news story about Trump and Russia that actually impacted negatively the stock market. There was fake hysteria about a Russian spy in the White House, or Bloomberg forced to correct their story about Trump and Deutsche Bank. And the New York Times had to walk back claims about Paul Manafort sharing polling data with a Russian oligarch. And don't forget the Washington Post having to correct their story about Russians hacking a Vermont utility, which wasn't true. It was every second, every minute, every hour of every day. Fake story after fake story, lie after lie, conspiracy after conspiracy theory. And rather than take responsibility for all of these failures, a epic fail, the media is just sinking to new lows, doubling down on lies and stupid. Just look at how a so-called reporter over at NBC News literally ambushed Robert Mueller as he's leaving Easter services. These people have no shame. Take a look.
Sir, could I ask you a couple of questions? Will you testify before Congress, sir?
No comment.
Are you sure about that, sir?
No comment.
If he were anybody but the president, would Mr. Trump be indicted, sir?
Now that you finished the,
Sir, why didn't you make a recommendation to Congress one way or the other, sir?
Are you going on vacation at least somewhere?
Did the Attorney General accurately characterize your positions on conspiracy and obstruction, sir?
Can we, make churches out of bounds, kids out of bounds? The media's negligence, the hysteria, so many unanswered questions. And as I've said, this is really only the first chapter in what must be a reckoning for the country. If this country's to survive, it's that serious. And literally, we're going to shine the light now on the 10 biggest, and there are hundreds, unanswered questions. Like, for example, when did the FBI first realize that the dossier was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton? If they knew it, why didn't Mueller investigate that when they're investigating the whole issue of Russian interference? How much exculpatory evidence did they have about George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, and did they hide that information for the FISA court? And we have a question, especially for James Comey. Why did James Comey sign the first FISA warrant? Bulk of information on the warrant, of course, was the dossier. Why did he sign it, which means he approved of it, assuming it's verified, in October 2016, then tell Trump and Donald Trump, then president-elect in 2017 in January at Trump Tower, it's salacious but unverified. He either lied in October of 16 or January of 2017. And by the way, why were STEELE's anti-Trump biases hid from the FISA court, like telling them Hillary bought and paid for it in big, bold letters? Why were U.S. intel officials leaking details of the Russian probe before ever corroborating anything to do with collusion? And by the way, next question. Did James Comey mishandle classified information when leaking memos of his private conversations with the president? And here's a big one. Okay, let's go to the Obama White House. What did Susan Rice, what did Samantha Powers, what did Loretta Lynch, let me see, Brennan and Clapper, what did they know and when did they know it? What did Obama know and when did he know it? If, as Page and Struck are saying, Loretta Lynch was running the whole thing from inside the Justice Department. Or, by the way, in the CIA or FBI, did they engage or sign off on surveillance against the Trump team to spy on them before opening the so-called counterintelligence investigation? Because, in other words, did they bypass American laws about, abusing intelligence and using the weapons of intelligence against the American people and outsource that to friendly allies and get information they wouldn't otherwise get? And by the way, maybe places like the UK to gather evidence on Trump campaign, or maybe Australia, maybe Italy? Did the CIA try to pressure the FBI into opening a Trump collusion probe before the election? And by the way, we do need to know, considering it was so important, issues like loan applications, taxes, and taxi medallions, who else lied to Congress? Now, we know Andrew McCabe is being probed for false testimony, but he also said, remember, no dossier, no FISA warrant. By the way, his testimony contradicts that of Glenn Simpson at Fusion GPS. Somebody lied, somebody told the truth, and it all conflicts with what Bruce Orr said. But again, let's go back to Loretta Lynch. What did she know? When did she know it? James Clapper, Brennan, when did they know it? Mark my words, we are inching closer and closer to justice. There is no stopping this abuse of power and corruption from being exposed. That I can promise you tonight. It's time for transparency and accountability. We cannot let this happen in our country again. My sources telling me, just buckle up, it's all coming soon. It's time to declassify those FISA applications. Bruce Orr's 302s, what we call our bucket of five. We still have the IG Horowitz. He is expected later this spring with his report on FISA abuse, the Huber report on leaking abuse, Gang of Eight material. Let's see it all. Now, Democrats want transparency. Okay, absolutely. Let's expose the biggest abuse of power, corruption scandal in this country's history. The American people will be shocked. Let's expose the new radical extreme Democratic Party, just still hell-bent on spreading lies every second hour of every day. A public trial, nonstop witch hunt against this president. When the Democrats aren't fueling their unhinged hysteria, well, let not your hearts be troubled, because their cohorts in the hate Trump media mob, they just pick up the slack. Take a look.
If, you know, the main concern here is that he's not going to be convicted by the Senate, Democrats may be making a bad political calculation there.
It's not as if the Mueller report was a dud. This is something that has a lot in it that implicates the president in actual crimes.
I still hope that in this day and age, Republicans will see the facts and will be as appalled as the Democrats are.
This report was completely exposing of unfit, impeachable behavior.
An innocent man does not screech and complain.
Some might ask, why haven't you opened an impeachment inquiry? Or, in fairness, is that what you're doing right now? Politics impact this, though? How much does the politics matter in this? Impeachment gets politicized, so you have a legal case that you believe this happens and you should do it, but the politics dictate something else. How much is that going to influence this decision? Is this in Nancy Pelosi's hands?
Deep down, we know Democrats aren't interested in the truth. Even Speaker Pelosi downplaying impeachment, writing in a new letter that there are other ways to hold the president accountable. She's scared to death knowing the political ramifications this witch hunt continuing will mean for the Democratic Party and her power. And those sentiments echoed by Democratic leaders in a call earlier today. That's not stopping the radical base, though, of the new extreme radical socialist Democratic Party, like collusion truther, the biggest liar of them all, Adam the Cowardly Schiff, actually saying the Mueller report proved him right. Well, you can't make this stuff up. And I'll say it again, by the way, to the congressman. You are welcome on this show anytime you want for the full hour. And I will give you 3 hours of my radio show if you would like, let's see, 615 stations and a big audience. So, Congressman, you are welcome anytime. By the way, that goes for the rest of them if they want to be a part of it in any way. All right, now as we continue along, anybody that wants to be a part of this program, we will expose the lies of people like them. And you know what? How much hurting you're doing to the American people. In fact, the real colluder in all this is only one person, and we have evidence for. By the way, it's comedic gold. Here's on tape collusion with Russia to impact our elections.
And she met with Trump and she brought him 1 hour Russian girl, celebrity, Olga Buzova, who also known as a person with a strange reputation.
Olga, and how do you spell her name?
Olga Buzova.
And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
And so Putin was made aware of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. We will be back in touch with you through our staff to make arrangements to obtain these materials for our committee and for the FBI, and I appreciate you reaching out to us.
What is the nature of the compromise? Picture naked Trump. Did Vladimir see it? Yeah, well, of course, Vladimir see it. Oh, you want to impact the election? You can't make this stuff up. Then we have Congressman Devin Nunes, by the way. We warned about Russia and Putin, hostile actors on the world stage. Devin Nunes in 2014 warned the Obama administration, this all happened on their watch, that this would happen in 2016. This is who they are. This is what they do. And after 30-plus years of our American government being hacked, can we please build the defenses to be unhackable? We should all of us be concerned about the integrity of our elections and the fact that this government's been hacked repeatedly for decades by hostile regimes. We need a top-to-bottom killer defense procedures against these hackers. That's why Hillary Clinton's email server is a real threat to our safety and security. And we do believe that that place was hacked by at least 6 foreign entities. This was all weaponized in the press inside the deep state to bludgeon Donald Trump. Behind the curtain, we got lies. So it's time to investigate the investigators. That means Hillary Clinton and the fact that that investigation was rigged. Then they tried to rig a presidential election. Then they tried to undo a duly elected president. And the media was all the way there. Let's stick to the facts and not rush to judgment. Maybe the media can self-reflect, be introspective, not jump on to the next fake news story about the president, especially as common sense Americans wake up to their lies, smears, and besmirchment. They can attack this president with more endless investigations, anonymous sources. Now, thankfully, the president's fighting back. Just today, the president filed a lawsuit against the Democrats' latest stunt. Now they want to embolden the IRS, release his taxes, explaining that the ploy has no legitimate purpose. Not once did he invoke executive privilege. 1.5 million documents. Even Don McGahn, the White House counsel, 30 hours before Mueller. You see what's going on? They're out of ideas. There's no vision for the betterment of we the people. They sink to a psychotic low. This is all they think about. And when they're not pushing endless investigations, it's nonstop far-left socialism or bludgeoning a 16-year-old kid. For example, look, you want to see about radical socialism? Look at Comrade Mayor de Blasio of New York City announcing plans this morning to ban, quote, inefficient steel and glass skyscrapers from New York and retrofit every big building in New York. Take a look.
The biggest source of emissions in New York City is buildings. We're putting clear, strong mandates, the first of any major city on the earth to say to building owners, you got to clean up your act, you got to retrofit, you got to save energy. If you don't do it by 2030, there will be serious fines. We're going to ban the classic glass and steel skyscrapers, which are incredibly inefficient. If someone wants to build one of those things, they can take a whole lot of steps to make it energy efficient, but we're not going to allow what we used to see in the past.
No glass, no steel. How are we going to build those buildings? You can't build it with timber because that'd be cutting down a tree and killing a tree. No gas, no oil, no cars, no combustion engine, no cows, no planes. But everything's free. They don't even meet, these standards are so over the top. Ocasio-Cortez has literally wants every building in America retrofitted. Wow, who's going to pay for that?